musician, Edgar Allan Poe's grandson. I mean, amazing. So who knew, you know? Come on, more questions. I want to run. I didn't go to the gym. Here we go. I'm going to go here first because I'm old and tired. Here you go. It's all you. Love your boots.
I just wanted to understand the dynamics a little better of the hiking scene when he was trying so hard to get her out of bed. And of course, she was depressed. She had no energy, no desire to move. And yet she had an awful lot of anger. And she could get that energized. And then after she was up and angry, why couldn't she then get dressed and go out? I don't understand that.
That's a great question.
I will answer that, and then I'd love maybe for you, since you have experienced the condition, disease, whatever you want to call it. Anger is a side effect of depression. Like when we were, and I thought it was just me having a bad temper or something when that sort of thing would happen, but when we interviewed people for our documentary, so many of them talked about like serious issues with anger. That so I guess sometimes people say depression is anger turned inwards. I don't know how many people that is true for, but if you're angry at yourself, I think, or mad at the world, it's easy to lash out at other people. And it's easy to be mad at the world when you have something that's so intangible.
Well, I'm sorry.
You just got to get right in there.
Right, get close, okay. Well, when I was suffering in my darkest days, I would get angry. I laid around in bed for years, and I didn't come out of my condominium for years. And people would get in my face, my ex-husband, my stepdaughter, friends would tell me, snap out of it, get over it. And that would make me very, very angry, and sometimes I would lash out and just scream and say, you have no idea what's going on. Stop, leave me alone. And they wouldn't. They just kept saying those same things over and over, and I didn't understand what was happening with me. I didn't know why I did all those crazy things. I didn't know why I slept for days and days and days, and then I would be awake for days and days and days doing crazy, crazy things. Which was the mania. I went back and forth. I had rapid cycling. So that's where my anger would come from, is somebody getting in my face, as I said, and telling me, snap out of it, get over it. And I couldn't. I was desperate. I couldn't.
I'd like to make the distinction that the National Alliance on Mental Illness looks at not only helping people and families that deal with clinical depression, but also with bipolar disorder, all forms, different forms of really all types of mental illness. And it's something that we need to all be aware of. I'd like to mention now is that we're going to have a lot of young troops coming home with something called post-traumatic stress disorder. Will in many cases manifest as depression, and so we need to welcome them with open arms. NAMI's prepared, and I hope that everyone else is prepared. But I suffer from bipolar, which depression is a component of that. We just have the unique ability to go up at light speed and down very low at the same cycling is what they call it. For me, anger, absolutely. Depression manifests in a lot of different ways. Anger is, it has been described as depression is anger turned inward. The anxiety you heard people talk about a lot, sleeplessness, that kind of thing, very, very common. But, and a lot of people with schizophrenia and schizoaffective disorder, there's a lot of overlap. You guys realize this. It's brain chemistry. It's all about brain chemistry, and there is just no snap out of it. It just doesn't happen that way. So I came up with a little mantra: get educated, get elevated, and get with it. So from a family perspective, this is a lady who would speak as a mom.
I wanted everybody to say that with you. Say it. Get elevated.
Get educated. Get elevated. Get with it.
Get with it. There you go.
Well, I know when this is a first onset to many family members of one of your loved ones, it's very scary for the loved one, whatever they're going through, and it's very scary for the family members. And so NAMI, which I'm here representing, or one of us, is we have all kinds of help for family members and those that are suffering from mental illness. So you can call us. We have 2 chapters in Albuquerque, in this area, one in Albuquerque and one in Rio Rancho. So there's help out there. Just reach out and it'll be there for you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. I didn't mean to put you off all that time. Okay.
Get right in there. You gotta get real close.
Oh, okay. I'm a psychotherapist, and I suffer from depression, as do both of my brothers. And we got it from our mother, and it was never dealt with. The therapist is saying, I wonder if worry became love, or was love for you, was a stunning intervention, and something I will be thinking about for quite some time. I would love to have a DVD of this. I don't know if it's possible, but I'm going to give my card to this young man and hope that that can be possible. And of course I'll pay for it. You know, and there may be others who would be interested in it. So thank you for doing an exceptional job.
The only bad news is I'm going to sell you a couple other DVDs. Thank you. That's awesome. I will say this, just that was a big moment for me too, you know, and I'm so glad to have NAMI here and to learn what you guys do. And obviously this film is going to do a lot for the people that suffer with clinical depression, bipolar disease, but just as a father and a husband, that moment in the movie was so heavy to me. It was obvious what it would do just for everybody. I felt watching the film that I was actually able to be a better father. I mean, honestly. So that's amazing. Anytime that happens. I saw another hand. I did. Don't give me 1, give me 2, I'm going to give 500, give me 1,000.
You mentioned a little bit about the intangibility of this disease, as opposed to, say, alcoholism or drug addiction, where you can't put your finger on what it is. Can you speak to the differences between clinical depression and just depression? Because it seems like there's a shadow line there that I'm not familiar with. But one seems to be a chemical disorder where maybe you can get meds to help you, and one may be a spiritual, something where support groups seem to help. And I may be off on this, but I'm just curious.
Who wants this one? All right.
So, what Alethea and I came up with is that I don't know if we can ever know, because the brain is so complex, whether it is nature or nurture or a combination of both. Let's say, like this woman, the psychotherapist, was raised by a depressive mother, and the brothers she were depressed. I mean, we learn a lot when we're little. So it could be that she learned it, or it could just be completely biological, or I tend to think that it might be both, a combination, in terms of clinical depression. And then what we've discovered is that it kind of doesn't matter in a way at the end of the day, that it's better to just, what you said, what is it, educate, elevate, and get with it. Like, if you got a problem, just try to fix it. And then one of our awesome interviewees said,
Sure, yeah, one of my favorite lines from the documentary people is, he's like, there's a difference between having depression and being depressed, because when he's in a bout of depression, it's not that he's depressed about anything, he's just physically, his whole body and his brain has taken over. So I think there is a bit of a distinction between, my grandmother died last week and I am really sad and I'm really down and I'm, and being in a bout of depression. It is a disease, it is something that I think there is a distinction there, and that's the important thing to realize.
I'm so sorry, a thought came to me, I'm really sorry to take over like that, terrible. That one of the things that is depression is you have constant thoughts in your head that are negative. if you're sad because you're a dear